training.tv. My name is Margaret. I'll be your broadcast engineer for today. I'm here with the wonderful Jonathan Ray, who is graciously stopping by to assist us with this series. Hi, Jonathan. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. Glad to hear it. Welcome back to our Law and Disorder for FileMaker Beginner series, where we basically cover the really basics of understanding FileMaker over the course of like 35-ish days. The days tend to flex. And we cover a wide variety of topics. We do like a deep dive into some really basic stuff. This is really good for people who are totally new to FileMaker, people who just need a refresher course, or sometimes it's good to actually approach FileMaker from the viewpoint of a beginner again. So, Jonathan, printing in FileMaker, where do we begin?
All right. Well, let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to share my screen with you if I can, and then we'll
Absolutely.
jump right in. Let me know if you can see that on your end, okay?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, so great. So the first thing first, sometimes when you hear printing, you're thinking in your mind of something that is going to be printed out on an actual printer, okay? Where, we're talking about paper. Now, that's not always the case in FileMaker. Sometimes you're printing, but you're printing to a PDF, or you're printing, but all you want to see is a preview. And so we're not always talking about like printing to a labeler or printing to a printer. Okay, sometimes you're printing to a PDF, say it's an invoice, for instance, and you're sending this to a customer, to a client, and said, here's your bill, here's your invoice, but you're not printing it out, putting it in the mail, and sending it to them. You're giving it to them in a PDF format so that they can print it out too, right? So these are two separate things, but they kind of overlap a bit, right? So that's the first thing to note is that in printing, it's not always a physical piece of paper that you're printing to, but also PDFs. So we're going to cover both of those today in very basic detail. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to show you how to manually do some of the print operations in FileMaker, and then we'll go into how to script things. So it's always good to know how to manually do something like the long way around in FileMaker first before you try to launch out and try to script it. If you can do it manually, then you'll have a better grasp on what's going on. So we'll go through the basic steps of this first, talk through some details, and then at the end, my plan is to write a couple basic scripts so that you can do this manual process that we're going to walk through a lot faster with a click of a button. That's the idea. So with that, we're going to launch in here. What I have here is I have a copy of our FM Starting Point Lite. That is our flagship product, FM Starting Point, but with a lot of the beefier features removed. So for most customers or clients, this file, this light version, will do the trick. The bigger version, the more loaded up version is here in the background, and it has a couple more features, and I'll show you how that pertains today. So we'll start though with the light version, and here's what we'll do to begin. Sometimes if you're not used to printing or you don't really know how it works in FileMaker, you're used to printing, right? Like you go to Microsoft Word, or say you're trying to print a web page from your web browser, and you come up to File, right? And you know that you're supposed to come here to Page Setup, right? And you can do either portrait mode, which is like this, or landscape mode, which is like this, right? So you change it, you change your letter size, you hit OK, and then you come here to print. Okay, that's normally the process that you're going to use for other applications, like a word processing document, like a Microsoft Word, or a PDF. You're opening it up in Preview or Adobe Acrobat or something. Okay, but in FileMaker, here's what you get. If I come here to print, and I already just did the page setup to portrait, and I want to print an invoice, and I try to do it manually, here's what happens. Let's say I'm just going to open it up in Preview. So on a Mac, it gives you this option where you can save the PDF right there. I'm going to open it up in preview. Okay. And that is what it looks like. Okay. That is not something that you're going to send to a customer. That's not something that you want to print out on a printer. But a lot of times, I've seen this a lot where a user might be confused or they don't know that there is a print button somewhere on the screen. And so what they do is they go Command P or Control P if you're on a PC, and they get this thing, which is a printout of the data entry screen. In FileMaker, you don't want a printout of the place that you're entering the data. You want a specifically designed layout or screen that is meant for printing. As you can see, a couple of the main issues here, right? Like this font is just enormous for printing, but it's really good for data entry. In fact, some customers might want this bigger, right? Because it might be too small. Sometimes you'll have a standard font that works very well for data entry. It might be size 13. Let's check out what this is. I go to Command L to look at it. In the portal, it is, let's see here. It is size 13. Some of these display fields are size 12. This one's size 13. A lot of the data entry fields are size 13. Some of these display fields, like in this portal here, that's 11. All right. But even so, like this is really, really big for a printout. Most of the printouts that you're going to see that come in your mail, you open it up and it's a bill from the doctor or it's your water bill or whatever it is. You're going to see size 9. You're going to see size 8. A smaller font might even be smaller than that, but you're not going to see size 11, 12, 13, 14 on a printout because it just doesn't look good. It's unless you really need giant print on a printout, you're not going to do it that way. You're also not going to do these weird like you're not going to print out a portal like this. This is for display purposes only when you're doing data entry. See these buttons, right? You're not going to print a button and send this to a customer. Like they're not supposed, they can't go ahead and click on that button, right? So it makes no sense. The optimal case is that you have a screen that is where you enter the data. Then you have a separate screen or screens, depending, right, where you print that data. So that's as basic as we're going to get with that concept. Why would you want to do that and not just print out this screen here? Let's say you're not picky. You're like, I just want the information, right? I don't care how it looks. And you say, I just want to print this thing out. Well, there's also considerations where you don't always want your customer seeing everything that you have on this screen. So, for instance, I loaded this the second record up with a little bit more data here. So if I scroll down, you can see I have like 12 invoice line items. All right. Now, one of the things you'll see right off the bat is that you have unit cost and unit price, right? So this is, and of course, these aren't real products, they're just placeholders. But in a real world scenario, this would be the actual cost of the line item to you. This might be a product that you're selling. It might be labor charges or something, and this is how much you are paying for it, and this is how much they're paying for it. Well, on an invoice, you don't want to show the customer the markup price and showing them, how much of a profit you're making off of them when they pay this bill, right? That's just not how you do things. Also, there might be cases where, let me see, yeah, it's in both of these. So this is notes. These are notes for the printed record, and then notes for internal records. Okay, so maybe there are some notes that this is just for your internal staff, and they might be confidential notes, right, about your when billing happens and maybe this might be a problem customer and you're writing some notes about that. Well, you don't want them seeing those notes if you send it to them, right? So you have a separate um, place here for the printed notes, like thank you for your business or something. You don't want the right beside the thank you for your business, something about them being a problem customer, right? So what I'm saying is that you don't want everything on your data entry screen being seen by the customer. That is not what needs to happen. There's a better way, a lot better way. Okay, so that's the idea first. Now, how do you get from having a data entry screen? Maybe you're not starting with our FM starting point file. Maybe it's your homegrown solution, and you have a place where you're entering stuff, right? You're entering maybe line items, you're entering the main info over here, and you want the ability to print, but you understand that it's not optimal to print everything you're looking at. Like, how do we get from there to there? Okay. The next that the next thing we're going to talk about is the print layout itself. So I'm still in the light version of FM starting point. This, of course, is the data entry screen. Let me go to, I'm going to come here to layout, go to invoices, and then we can come here to, so here are all our print layouts. So print modern page right there. So here's one of the options that you could choose. In FM starting point, there are several different options. Like you could go to home and then preferences and choose, where is it, in invoices, basic, modern, or minimalist. So you have a couple different options. But in the light version, they are all a single page type of setup, right? So if I come here, invoices, print basic single page, where's the other one I was looking at? Print minimalist single page. Yeah, there we go. So in this minimalist single page, this is a good example here. Okay, so I have on this invoice, the second invoice, you can see in the line items, I have 12 different line items just for a test record. On this print page, there's several different versions of this invoice. One is just super, super basic, where it's basic font, very, very minimal. But you can see that in the line items, it only allows for 1, 2, 3, it only allows for 10 line items. After the 10th one, if you have anything more than 10, it will cut it off right there. Okay. So someone could be looking at this and seeing, okay, if I add all these prices together, wait a second, how does it come to, 1157? They don't add up because this single the single page layout is only going to show you 10. Even if you had 1,000 different line items, it will only show you 10, but it will show you the total price. So if you're ever going to have more line items than the number that you're showing, like if you come into layout mode, double click on this portal, I'm showing 10 here, right? If you're ever going to have more line items than that, you either have to have, make the portal bigger, or like on one of these other print layouts, where is it? Print basic, it's showing more than 12. I think it might be showing or something like that. Let's see, 19. Okay. I was going to say I don't think it's quite 20, but 19. You have to plan on the worst case scenario in your in your solution. So if you're ever going to have more than, in this case, 19, you either need to make a more narrow portal to add more lines, or you need a multi-page invoice, right? So these are some considerations. We'll get into that in a second here. So let me back up. So we discussed so far that you have a data entry screen where you're entering the information. This screen here, this print screen, is not optimal for entering information, right? If I come down here and I start trying to type and I start trying to add different product IDs and so forth, and I'm trying to add the person's name and address, it is not designed for that. It's designed to be printed or turned into a PDF. This screen is designed for data entry. So you need two separate ones. If I wanted to, I could come here, right? And this is the record number 2. And if I wanted to, I can print this manually. I can come up to File, right? We just went through this, File, Page Setup. And this is designed to work for portrait. So portrait, yes. And then I come here to print. And we're just going to just going to preview this. We're not going to actually print to a printer. So I come here to PDF, open preview, and here you go. Okay, that's that. If I want to print it from here, I can. If I want to save it as a PDF, I can, so forth. But that is the manual way of doing it. You don't actually technically need any script at all to do this, right? Some people have database solutions that have no scripts whatsoever in them. Now, scripts can save you a lot of time, and there are certain things that you can't even do manually that you can do in a script. But a lot of the FileMaker functions can be done manually without the scripting engine being involved at all, right? Not having to click a button. You can come here to a layout manually, right? Do your page setup, print, and do all sorts of things like that, then manually close the window, and you're good. But activating all of that through a script is just going to save you time. But as long as you understand what's going on first, that I have this data entry screen, I want to have a layout that's designed to print this thing, then and you've already created it, you can come up to New Window, go to Invoices, choose the layout that you're wanting to print on. In this case, like it's the basic one. Page setup, print it, or save it as a PDF, then close the window, and so forth. All of that can be done without ever having to design a button to do that for you. Okay, I don't think we'll probably have any questions so far. This is a lot of just foundational stuff right now. Okay,
Yep,
so right, so what we just alluded to, you may have missed it, that if I come here to New Window and I choose one of these options where it says Invoices, Minimalist, this option here, that it chops off anything over product number 10. So it chops off right here 11 and 12, right? Those two lines. And we said that in that case, if we really like how this looks and we don't want to make the portal lines smaller vertically, then we need a multi-page invoice. In the light version of FM Starting Point, we only have the single page options, right? Just to keep it smaller and not as complex. We figure that most invoicing solutions aren't going to need multi-page invoices, but a lot of solutions do. Okay, and so in our bigger version, let's just minimize the light version here. In our bigger version here, you have several other options. Like if I come to New Window here and I go to Invoices, you see that we have single page and then multi-page, single page, multi-page, single page, multi-page. So on the minimalist version, okay, this is what it looks like. And it's very confusing, right? So if I come into layout mode, you have, instead of a portal, each of the lines is an actual like record itself, okay? And the layout is tagged or coded to the line items instead of the main invoice. So even right now, if you're a very basic beginner, you're looking at this and thinking, what in the world is going on, right? It's easier to understand this version right here. If I go to the one right before it, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Like I'm seeing a portal with up to 10 records on it. Okay. Over here, if I come control down arrow, this is a lot more difficult. It's like, man, okay, what's going on here? What am I seeing? If you go into browse mode, you have 23 records. You're like, wait, I only have 2 records and invoices, right? And so you might get confused faster. But let's step through this manually and show you how you can get the same results and it would make sense. Okay, so I'm going to go to browse mode. Let me do this. I'm going to make a new field and I go to, I think, ID invoice just to perform a find here. Okay, so here are all the invoices. ID invoice. Yeah. Okay, let's see. And then I come here, ID invoice 3, and I come to do a find. Oh, this is not set for find. Bear with me here. Doing this on the fly. Find mode. Okay. And I come here to do a find. It's not liking that at all. Let's see what the issue is here. ID line item. Oh, here we go, I think. ID invoice. No. ID invoice display, is that what it is? Yes, okay. So I do a find. Now here are all my records. There are 23 of them, as you can see here. Right? There's 22 and then one that's not called that. So 23 line items altogether. So now on our multi-page invoice, this is how you would do it manually. You would come here to this layout manually, and you would do a find. You would enter Command F or Control F. You would find the ID invoice that we're talking about. In this case, it's this right here, INV 00003. Enter find mode, perform find. We have 22. Then you would come up here to, where is it? Preview. Okay, preview. Then you have your layout, and then you can hit the next arrow and see the rest of the items. Then you would come up here to File, Page Setup. You make sure it's in portrait mode. Okay, and then you would come here to Print, right? And you would have to choose records being browsed instead of current record because you want to print all of those records. Then we open it up in preview, and now you have a multi-page print, okay? Which is exactly what you want. But you can see how doing that manually is a bunch of steps back to back, and you have to keep in your mind, all right, how am I going to do this? And do I need a field that has this ID on there? You perform this find, all that sort of thing. Where in this case, definitely a script is going to help you get there faster, right? You don't just create scripts just to create them. They are time-saving devices, right? But this is how you would do it manually, and you can see you can still get there manually by opening up a window, go to a layout, perform a find, all of that, right? But we don't need to do that. So let's walk through how to create a print script. In this broadcast, we're not going to talk about how to create an actual print layout. Some of them are just here for you to take a look at. You can reverse engineer them, but we're going to focus on how to script this sort of thing. Okay. I will note that, but before creating the script, you can see what some of the size differences are. If I come here to this merge field, it's set at size 10. The portal field is set at size 10. This one's 9, 9, 9, right? What you notice is that none of them are 11 or 12 or 13 in these huge sizes when they're printed out. Sizes are can be bigger on screen, okay, but they're going to be huge when they're printed. So just keep that in mind as you go through. Some of the pieces of text can be bigger, like this is 14, but this is a more of a header type of font or piece of text, and that can be bigger, but that can't be everywhere on the screen there. Okay. So you see this little hamburger menu here, the three dots. That's not a hamburger menu. What's that called, Margaret? The three dot thing. The
Oh,
more info, or
I think it
I'm not
is.
quite
I think
sure.
it is a kind of hamburger menu. It's just,
I thought the
uh,
hamburger menu was the three lines.
it is the three lines. I don't think there's a
Hmm.
is there a different name for the three dots?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
Hold on,
Yeah,
Google.
someone can tell us.
It's called a kebab menu. You're correct.
Okay.
There's a
Or a
different name.
kebab. A kebab.
Kebab. There we go.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce.
All right. So
Hilarious.
if I hit the kebab menu here, and it gives us this popover, and I hit print, there's a pretty elaborate thing that's happening here. Okay. And you're gonna come in and look, and you're gonna be like, whoa, what is going on here? Um, so we are going to create one from scratch that's maybe a little bit more understandable. Here, it's going through and it's asking a bunch of questions. It's saying, you know, how many lines are there? If there are more than such and such lines, then go to a specific layout. Um, it looks at the preference to see which layout you chose, and then it goes to that one. It asks you questions and so forth. Okay, so all of that is great and it works, but it might be pretty confusing to someone who is just starting out. Maybe you have your own homegrown solution. You just created a data entry screen. You're now thinking about creating a print layout, and maybe you've done that. Now you want a from scratch script to take what's on the data entry screen, right? Go to the layout, the print layout, and then print it from there. So that's what we'll do. I'm going to open up the script workspace. That's Command Shift S or script workspace here. And we are going to create a brand new layout, and we will call this print invoice. We'll keep it very simple. Okay. You'll see some color coding in my script workspace that may not appear in yours because I have a plugin that that kind of color codes things for me. So that will be the only difference here. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We're going to create this script, and then we'll put a button somewhere on the layout that will say something like print, right? So here's what we'll do first. If I just hit enter, this creates a couple blank lines. The first thing that I'm almost always going to do, I'm going to put allow user abort off. Okay, that means if something goes wrong in the script, I don't want FileMaker's default show custom. I don't want FileMaker's default custom dialog showing up and allowing the user to say, yes, I want to cancel this script right in the middle of it. So I don't want that to happen. Okay, I want to set error capture on. So in case we're going to do any error capturing, a lot of times you just put those two at the front of at the start of your script just by default, and then you can remove the set error capture later if you're not trapping for errors. All right, so if these are confusing you, that's okay. You don't really need to worry about them. You just put them there. Okay. Second, what we're going to do, we're going to try to figure out in our mind here. All right, how am I going to, what's the process here? The first process is we're going to go to a layout, okay, and then we're going to print the layout. So first, you can do a freeze window. Okay, freeze window. What that means is that if you start going back and forth between layouts, you're not going to have the user isn't going to see that happening. It's going to be kind of frozen here on the layout that you start with. Okay, so freeze window. Then what we're going to do is go to layout. This will be your print layout. So I go layout. I choose the one I want. Let's say it's this minimalist multi-page thing. Okay. So we do that. Now, what you want to choose and figure out is if you want two separate sets of layouts. Okay, one for printing things with less than, say, you know, 10 or less records, and one that prints more than 10 records. Or if you want to keep it simple, you can just have one layout for printing everything and make it a multi-page layout. So you don't even have the basic one where it's the portal. So that's what we're going to do here. We're just going to go straight to the multi-page layout. Okay. And by doing so, we don't have to find another, we don't have to find the actual record, because right now we're on the record. We're on the record that we want to print. Okay. So we come to the layout. Okay. And then what we do is page setup. And I'm not sure what it's actually called. Print setup. That's what it's called. Print setup. Okay. Some people like to see that print setup dialog on, but what we want to do is not have it on at all, because we want to choose that it's portrait. We don't want the user to even be able to choose landscape, because it's not designed for a landscape orientation. Okay, so we're going to choose portrait, and we're going to say with dialog off. So the user isn't even going to see this type of dialog where it's page setup. They're never going to see that. We just chose that option for them. Okay, the next one here is print. Okay, now here's an interesting thing, that here's something you can do in a script that you cannot do manually, right? To print just by I don't know how to describe this. Of course, you have to have a print dialog if you're doing it manually, right? It can't read your mind, is what I'm trying to say. So in a script, though, you don't have to have that print dialog. Okay. What you can do is you can automatically choose which printer that you want to print to. Okay. And you can choose this option here, print records being browsed or current record, and so forth, and not even allow the user to have that option. A lot of times this comes in handy when you're printing labels, okay, and you know exactly what printer you want to print to every single time. You don't want the user to be able to choose the Xerox machine, okay, to print labels when it's designed for a specific Dymo label printer or something. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. Do you want the user to be able to choose which printer they want? Do you want the user to be able to choose records being browsed or current record? In our case, it needs to be records being browsed every time. You don't really want to show them this. But in our case, we want to give the user the ability to choose different printers, right? Maybe it's the little LaserJet sitting beside them in the office. Maybe it's the company-wide Xerox machine. You want them to have the option. You just have to tell the user, don't mess with this setting here. Always keep it on records being browsed for this option. Okay, so we're going to say print with dialog on. All right. Now, once that's done, then we go to layout, and we say original layout. Okay, and that's it. All right, so very, very simple. And if you want to write yourself some notes in there, or you want to write some comments, what I do, if I want to create another blank line, I click on this one, I hit enter, creates a blank line, I double click on it, and I say this, or I hit enter, right? Comment, that little number sign. This print step will show a dialog to the user and allow them to choose the printer. Okay, and if I want to do another one, say I want to duplicate this comment, I hit Command D, double click, and I say, if we don't want the user to choose a printer, then we can turn the dialog off, right? And so you're writing your notes as you go, so you understand how to do this. You can see that this is a much, much simpler, cleaner script because we're just keeping our options very, very basic for right now, okay? Now you can see that there's a little star or asterisk on this script name. That means I have not saved something. There's an unsaved change. Once I hit Command S, or I can come here to File, somewhere there's a save. Save script, yeah, Command S, okay? There it is. I'll move this all the way at the top so I don't have to find it. Okay, print invoice. All right, great. Now I have my script saved. Now, how do you actually activate this? One, because let's come here to script workspace. Because this is checked, this is now one of my frequent options that I can choose. So even without a button on the layout, I can come here to scripts, and you can see that it is option number 1. I can either click it right here, or you could hit Command 1, and FileMaker just does this automatically. So if I come in here to script workspace, the first one on the list, and this is like number 1 on the list, that becomes number 1. This becomes number 2, 3, 4, and so forth. If I uncheck that, okay, watch what this does. I come here to scripts, and it's not in the choosable options anymore, okay? If I come here and I click it again, and now it's back. So let's just see what this does. I will run it without the script debugger first, and let's just take a look. So print invoice, boom. What it did, right now you can see that we're still looking at our data entry screen, but in the background, we're actually on the print layout because we put the script step freeze window as one of the first steps in there. It's kind of frozen, so it looks like you're on this layout, but you really aren't. Okay, so we have our printer that we can choose. You can see it defaults to records being browsed. And if I come here and I say open in preview, okay, it opens up. I now have my multi-page invoice. I close it down, and we're back on the layout. Easy as that, right? Now, if I want to add a button to the layout that says something like print with that basic script, I can do that. I can go to Command L or enter into layout mode. And I don't know exactly where to put this. I don't want to clutter things up. Just for right now, I'm going to put it right here. Okay, this is a very bad place for it, but that's okay. Print. Okay, and you can add, say, like a do something like that, maybe. Okay. It's not great, but it'll work. So I double click on that button now, and you can see action. You can say a single step or perform script. We want perform script because we just created a script. I choose the one that we just created, hit OK. Okay, and I come back into browse mode, Command B, or you can go to exit layout. Okay, now it's saved here. So same thing happens. I click, I get the dialog. If I want to preview it, there we go. I could have printed it. I could have saved it as a PDF, whatever. But that's how you do it. So that's the most basic way to write a script that prints a layout. Really, you're going to the layout, you're doing a page setup, a print, going back to the original layout. You can do a whole lot of other things, but that's one thing you can do. So for instance, one thing you can do here is if I come to new window, we're going to make this script just progressively more helpful. I go to multi-page. This is the layout that we're talking about. And if I wanted to, say, sort by the unit price, like let's say I wanted to, instead of displaying the line items all kind of jumbled, if I wanted to either sort by the name alphabetically, or if I wanted to sort by the price, you can do that too. So I could do something like sort unit price and hit sort. And if I like how that looks, and I'm like, yeah, I really like that sort order, then you can add that to your script. Let me close that. So here we go. If I go to the layout, this is the print layout, right? Before the print setup, I can come here and I can start typing sort. So, right, so sort records. And I say I want to sort by, and we would be on the, or is it right here? We would be on the unit price, pretty sure. Let me just make sure before I embarrass myself. Okay. Invoices, make sure what this is tagged to yet. T12J. Okay. Go here. Let's see. Did I choose the right one? T12J. Yep, unit price. I hit OK. You can see that the dialog is on right now. We don't want the dialog on. Okay, we just want to sort automatically. I save it, click the button again, and now let's see what it does. Open preview, and now we have it sorted, right, by the unit price. That does not look right, does it? Oh yeah, it does. It's by unit price, not the price. 1, 18, 20. Yeah, that looks right. But who would want to sort by the unit price? That's kind of weird. So maybe we change it to price. And I come here to the sort dialog, double click to remove it. You can start typing T12J and then unit price, whereas unit price, I think what we want is extended price. Yep. Command S for save, print, and you can see the change there, 1, 20, 21, etc., all the way down. And it has our sort on there. So what we're doing here is we're taking a script that's super, super basic, right? It goes to the layout. It did the print setup automatically, printed, went back to the layout. Then we added a sort to it to, if you want to sort, maybe you don't want to sort, whatever. You can keep adding stuff to it, right, is my point. I have a couple other things we can add to this. I want to show you how to save as a PDF, and that might be worth showing you. Let me click pause there, Margaret, see if we have anything.
We do actually. We've got a couple.
Okay. Okay.
Can you make a menu/layout of your own where the user can choose a printer?
Yes, but okay, that's my initial answer. Okay. It's yes, but. So you could have a layout where a user has, let's say you have a bunch of different printers that are possible to print to. Like you have your approved list of printers. There's 4 that you want people to be able to print to, but you don't want them to even have the option to print a layout like this on, say, a label maker or something. That would be ridiculous, right? So you eliminate the ridiculous, you give them the options though. Okay. So you have like a table and you have records with the different printers and so forth. And then you set those up. In your script, what you would need to do, you would have to have like a selection process where right here, instead of going to directly to the layout, you would have like this intermediary screen. And so before doing all of this, they would go there and choose what printer they want, not from the default printer dialog that FileMaker gives you, but by some other layout that you've designed, okay, that shows just the options you want. They click the one you want, and then here you would need a little bit more than this, okay? Instead of print, what you would do is if, right? And you would do something like else if, you would capture what printer they wanted, and you would say, if let's just keep it simple. If you captured their choice in a variable, you would say if choice equals 1, then print with this one. Else if choice equal 2, then you print with this one. right? And you have all the choices and you turn all these off, right? So they don't even get the print dialog. They chose on the screen that you designed, right? Then you have okay, if it was this choice, then do this one. If it's this choice, then do this one. If it's this choice, then do this other one. That's the way you would do that. As you can see, it gets a lot more complex the more cute you want to get with it. Okay. What I just showed you here is just as basic as it gets. You go to layout, you don't even need this sort thing. Go to layout, make sure it's portrait. You give them the print dialog, they choose the printer, goes back to the layout. All right. So for people that are doing very basic printing and are scared of the script workspace because it's scary and there's a lot of um, a lot of stuff going on. You can do a lot of crazy things here instead of something like this where it's more understandable. The script workspace can be a scary thing. Just wanted to give you a basic idea of how to do this. So any other question there, Margaret?
Yes. If you set a specific label printer in the script, how do you switch back to the default printer? Question mark.
Okay. So if you set a specific one, let's say, I think I understand what he's saying. I'm going to duplicate these two script steps. One is with printer on, okay, which means that if the printer is on and I have like a printer chosen, if Margaret went in and performed this script, she wouldn't see the options I have, most likely. She would see whatever options that she has in her local context, right? So this list of printers changes based on where the user's at, what printer drivers they have, and what printers are set next to them. Okay, so when you print with dialog on, this list of printers is not set in stone to whatever printers they have available. If you have print with dialog off, it is going to try to print to that printer no matter where you're at. Okay, so if I said, I want to print to this HP LaserJet that's sitting beside me. Okay, Margaret tried to click this button with dialog off, and there is no such HP LaserJet anywhere close to her. She can't print to it, right? It's going to give her an error, and then it's going to go to the layout, right? So that's why sometimes having this dialog off is not a great idea if not all your users can print to it. Okay, that's why I prefer by default to have it on. The user selects the one they want and hits print. It's an extra click, extra step, but it's probably worth it. I think to answer the specific question there, Margaret, is what I heard the question is if you have specified what printer you want and you don't want to force the user to have that anymore, all you do is you just turn it back on. You go from off to on, and then it gives you the list of choosable options there. I think I understood that question. If not, I can try to clarify.
Okay. Rick Fosnell, not let me know if that answers your question. Next question. In case you allow the user to select the printer, is there an automatic way to prevent him/her to deselect the option of printing multiple records?
No, it's either or. Okay, so you can do this. You can have on or off, but you cannot have an in between. It would be really, really nice, okay, to have some sort of in between where you did not allow the user to select, yeah, I want current record, and then it messes everything up, right? So if you have a multi-page invoice you're trying to print 23 records, 23 line item records, and the user comes in here and chooses current record, thinking in their mind, all I want to print is one invoice. But what they're not realizing is you're not on the invoice layout, you're on the invoice line item layout. And they think, okay, well, I just want the current invoice. I hit current record, I hit print, and then what you see is one line. You're like, wait a second, I wanted all the lines. And then, it results in a phone call to whoever made the database, and they have to explain this. It'd be really nice if you gave them the ability to choose the printer they want, but don't give them the ability to choose the record option, but you can't. Okay, so it's either all or nothing on that. Give them the entire dialogue or no dialogue, but that's the way it is right now. So I think we have a couple more minutes here, and I think this will be worth our time
Hmm.
if if we're able to show how we can save a PDF. So say um, you're not doing this print, and you're not printing to a printer. I hit print here. Okay, on a Mac, it gives you the ability to save as a PDF just by default, which is nice. But I believe even still, Windows operating systems do not give you that ability. Okay, so in such cases, what you'd want is something like a print button, and then right beside it, a print PDF button. Okay, to do that, what you can do here, instead of creating two separate scripts, you could do that. But what you can do is use a script parameter. So if I come here and I say if script, if get script parameter equals PDF, then I'm going to do something else. I do print. So here is where I can tell it to save a PDF if this script has a parameter attached to it. What do I mean by that? If you're not accustomed to script parameters, and maybe you've heard of it, but you don't quite understand it, what you can do in layout mode here, on this button, what you can do is not only tell it to do a script, but you can say, I want to do this script, and then I want to pass along a little message with it. Okay, I want to attach something to it, and in this case, we'll say PDF. Okay, let's create two separate ones here. Okay, this one we'll call PDF, and do we have like a PDF? Yeah, perfect. Okay, PDF. So this one is going to have the script parameter PDF. This one is not going to have any script parameter at all. Okay. And they're both, as you can see, attached to the same exact script, print invoice, print invoice. Okay, I go into browse mode. So when the script runs, this little if, this is a checker, right? It's checking to see, all right, did the button that you clicked on, did it include the little note PDF? If so, then do something here. Otherwise, if it didn't include PDF, then just do the regular print. So in this case, here's where we want to do a save as PDF. And here's what we'll do. Just start typing in PDF, save records as PDF. Okay. You can right here do a with dialog on and just let the user specify the name and the location. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Hit save, come here to PDF. Okay. Now what it did is it went to that layout. It did the little sort that we asked it to do. Then it's giving us the default save as PDF dialog. And I can say test. Okay. You can see again, it still gives you that dialog, that print option in the dialog. Records being browsed, current records. I want records being browsed. And let's say I want it to automatically open the file when it saves it. You can see you could also create an email attachment if you wanted to. I hit save and it pulls it up. Okay, it saved it somewhere on my desktop here. Yeah, you can see save or test PDF. If I hit the space bar, I can preview it, etc. So that save as PDF with dialog on is very similar to the print with dialog on, except that in this case, you're not printing to a printer. It knows that you want to create a PDF, and it's allowing you to define all of your options. You know, it's allowing you to tell it what name you want it and where you want it saved and what the record option is during that save, whether you want to open it up automatically or not, so forth. If you didn't want the user to have all of those options, let's say you want to save the PDF, but you need it saved in a certain location, in a certain folder, or you want it to automatically open up an email with that as an attachment, and you don't want to give the user any of those options, you just want to choose it for them, then you would need to, let me duplicate this, you would need to click off, okay? So they don't have any options. It's just going to do whatever you tell it to do. And you can see here, it's telling you, all right, well, you need to specify the name of the PDF and in the path, okay? And so in order to do this, this is a little bit more technical than we've been. This is a more technical detail than we've been discussing previously in this whole live stream. So we've done other live streams on how to save PDFs and how to define a certain path and a certain name. It's different if you're on a PC than a Mac, and you'll really want to go through some of those live streams in more depth there. But just know right now that you do have the ability to turn this off and then specify all the options, okay? You can see right here in the script, you can save a PDF and then append or add to that PDF. You can add pages to it. We just saw that you can specify where it saves it as, and then all the options, the records options and such, okay? For right now, at the very basic level, we'll turn it on. And now in this live stream, what we've done is we've shown the basics of how printing works in FileMaker, the ultra simple basics there, and then how to create a very basic script that does either print or save as PDF and gives the user the options to define some of the options in the dialogues. I think that's as far as we're going to get for the live stream today, Margaret.
I think that you're correct. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Seriously, this has been awesome. Thank you everyone for coming. We appreciate you coming. We will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a discussion on, let me bring up the schedule. Exporting and importing. Always interesting chat. Okay. And then Wednesday will be portals. Thursday will be reports and sub-summaries. Friday will be multi-user versus single-user files. And naming conventions, I believe, is Monday and Tuesday. Naming conventions always ends up being quite the discussion. Also depends on who's presenting. So, all right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We will see you later.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day.
Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!